Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, we're starting a new section, evolution and diversity. So the first problem we will deal with is natural selection and adaptation. Problem 1 is entitled the white striped clover, Trifolium repens. So what I'd like is those of you who have read it, tell me a little bit about this plant, about its distribution, about its appearance, and some of the different forms that it has.
Some of them are white and some of them are striped.
Okay, what part of the plant?
They're leaves.
The leaves. Actually, some of them are plain and some of them are striped. What color are the plain ones?
White.
Green. Okay, it's just a plain green leaf. If you're colorblind, maybe they're white. Okay. Or you have double vision. So we have a plant. It's called the white striped clover. You guys all know what clover looks like. Hang on here. There's a picture of it. So just these basic clover plants. The plain ones have the green leaves, all green. And the one with the flowers is just to help you recognize the plant. We do have some here. There is the white striped one. You see how it has the little white kind of circular stripe things in the middle? All right, so we have two forms. It's the same species, but we have two forms. Now, okay, let me read this paragraph to make sure we got all the information. The white clover, the white striped clover, is a small perennial plant, is found throughout the world, and has two forms. One variant has entirely green leaves, which are plain, and the other has green leaves with a prominent white stripe. Okay, so we did get that. All right, now, using the information in the following table, what I'd like you to do is summarize the habitat features for white clover in two different states. We're going to look at what their habitat is like in Minnesota, what it's like in North Carolina. What is habitat?
Place and conditions under which organism lives.
Okay, yeah, it's the place and the conditions, the environmental conditions under which these things live. So, with your groups, take a look at this table. Look at the different variables measured in Minnesota and in North Carolina, and then summarize those different variables and how they vary or how they differ in each state. Okay? Take a couple minutes and do that right now. Summarize, let's go back to the question. Summarize the habitat features for white clover in each state. Or we'll go back here.
We talk about that Minnesota has a warmer climate and also colder climate. And there are only a few herbivores that would eat the clovers. But in North Carolina, there are many more, and they're present all year. And the temperatures doesn't get that low or doesn't get that high.
Okay. Thank you. Good. Anybody else have anything to add to the summary? Well, here's what the book says, or this is the solution answer. Let's see how close it was. The habitat in Minnesota has extreme cold, right? You got that? Extreme cold temperatures with many days below freezing, long winters, short summers with less intense light. Oh, why would that matter?
Because they don't have this plant needs light.
Yes, they need light to grow, right? The habitat is also somewhat dry. Herbivory, however, is not very intense. So you got most of those. Good. Habitat in North Carolina is relatively warm with a long growing season and mild winters. There is a significant soil moisture, and herbivory is intense and occurs year-round. So those are the major differences in the habitat. Now, let's look at a couple of other aspects of the plant's biology and try and figure out the answer to the next few questions. So in part 2, here's just a couple of the major points for those of you who weren't able to read it. Some variants of white clover produce cyanide. What is cyanide? It's, thank you, a very powerful poison. Yes. Two gene products are used to produce the cyanide, and they're stored in different locations in the plant. So there are two things that are made, and when those come together, that makes the cyanide, but they're stored separately inside of the plant. The inactive cyanide sugar complex is in the cytoplasm, and the enzyme to activate the cyanide is stored in the cell wall. So they're in different locations. In general, striped clover contains cyanide, but plain clover does not. So in those two different variants, only the striped generally has cyanide.